Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Jungle Rot, Cruel Face of War, out May 15th on Unique Leader Records. The album has 12 tracks, 41 minutes in length, and this is the band's 11th full-length studio album. They are an American death metal band. From a design standpoint, the album is actually pretty simple, or at least it feels very simple to me. It's built like a set list, with the right ebbs and flows in order for the experience to be engaging, dynamic, and never feel cumbersome. It's very easy to allow a record with this kind of sound, this kind of heaviness, start to feel cumbersome and almost repetitive as you get to the bottom third of the record. This album doesn't have those issues at all. It always feels fresh, even though there's a lot of consistency throughout the sound and throughout the record itself. The uniquenesses that every song offers, regardless of how much impact they have on the songs themselves, those uniquenesses are enough to create some gaps between the tracks, give some identity to the songs, making the record more dynamic from that standpoint and not as linear. Once you get into the sound, I think it's easy to say that this is a guitar-driven, guitar-focused album. The guitars are the life force of this record. It's no surprise that they have a song called Rot Riffs, because to me this album is represented in that track. This album is jungle rot riffs galore, top to bottom. Heavy, groovy, sometimes a little bit darker, a little bit more penetrating, but it's all about the different experiences, allowing the record to be heavy, to have a presence, to be brutal to that extent of what a death metal album should be, but still keeping the guitars somewhat versatile in terms of the textures that they have, so that the sound throughout the album doesn't feel like it's in an incredible loop that never ends. So this is a great record from a guitar standpoint because it offers different ideas, different textures, but all in line with one another and all intertwined with one another, top to bottom. Great guitar sounding album with some old school guitar riffs, some old school solos, old school death metal style construction tracks. This album definitely showcases everything that this band is all about, specifically when it comes to the guitar sound and when it comes to the riffs. From a production standpoint, the album is not overly produced, but it's not underproduced either. There is a certain rawness to this record, and I think you're going to find that rawness a lot, specifically when it comes to the bass sound. The bass sound is not incredibly consistent throughout the record. There are moments where it feels a little bit more jarring in terms of how he peeks through in the mix, but overall the record has that live experience to it, so having that jarring bass at times is just part and parcel that what comes along with it. I don't mind it too much because it really comes down to how you listen to this record. If you're listening to this record on headphones, you're gonna pick up those moments where the bass really pops through and kind of shakes the song a little bit. If you're listening to this on a stereo or in your car, those bass moments really become almost unnoticeable, and the record, it becomes a little bit more about the density that it has, the heaviness that it offers, and how dynamic the guitars can be. So it's an interesting approach from a production standpoint. I think they could have cleaned up the bass a little bit more, but overall keeping that raw vibe really matches well with the intensity that this record has, which in my opinion is turned to 11 top to bottom. As far as the drums goes, I like the drum sound on the album. I think it could have been a little bit more emphasized in terms of adding a little bit more size to the songs, but overall the drum sound on this record is really good because it sits back ever so slightly from the guitars, pushing the guitars a little bit more forward, and considering how focused and how guitar driven this album is, that's perhaps the best place for the drums to be, so that the guitars have a little bit more room to breathe, room to maneuver, and have a more defining impact on each and every single song. So I enjoyed the drum sound quite a bit on this record. I think it matches the album really well. But having said that, it could have been tweaked a little bit more in order to, in some tracks, to offer a little bit more size, specifically when you have darker sounding, more penetrating riffs within the songs. Adding some volume around that would emphasize the darkness of the tracks and would not lose anything as far as size and volume are concerned. Once you get into the vocals, it's consistency top to bottom. This is jungle rot essence as far as the vocal performance is concerned. I really like the style, I really like the delivery, I really like the production on this record as far as the vocals go, because you can really hear the vocals well. They're not covered, they're not surrounded by other sound elements that perhaps minimize their impact and therefore minimize the lyrical content, which in my opinion is intertwined with the overall soundscape of this record. So having the production on the vocals allow them to have enough room to move and enough room to have an impact definitely makes this a more palpable death metal style sounding record through and through. An album that in my opinion definitely showcases everything that jungle rot is all about. The great guitar riffs, the overall rawness, that live experience coming into the studio. This album puts all of those things together, really checks a lot of different boxes. And I think one of the other key factors of this record is that it offers a lot of consistency, but it doesn't become repetitive. Adding a different style solo here and there, changing the productions on the guitars when it comes to the solos versus the regular riffage. All of these little elements definitely give each and every single song a little bit of a unique fingerprint, but never too far off of what the overall group and what the overall album is all about. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Suffer in Silence. Fast, driven, the drums and guitars together, but really the emphasis on the guitars as far as that driving is concerned. The drums are there more to complement that experience. Vocally very heavy track as well, matching the intensity and aggression that the song has from a musical standpoint. The drums get slightly heavier as the track progresses. They kind of build into their own space, having a more defining impact as the song develops. And the guitars dip at times to a more groovier sound, which with that comes a little bit of a dark vibe along with it. I wouldn't say ambiance or atmosphere, because this album doesn't really have those elements, but definitely there is a sense of darkness that comes out of the overall grooviness of the guitar sound when you compare it with a heavier, more chuggier style riff approach that the song also has. It's a track that has size, that has a lot of different elements in it. It's a perfect collaboration of sound and vocals together. The vocals really solidify the quality of the song, and then it has a very old school style solo that in my opinion is just a death metal cherry on top of this death metal cake. Then we have Radicalized. This is an interesting track because it starts really methodic, and then it's a track that alternates that more methodic movement of almost stop, go, with just pure aggression and pure intensity. Having that dynamic really allows for the slower parts to feel a lot heavier, and it allows the faster parts to feel a lot faster. So having this dynamic makes the song jump out because it gives the track a unique characteristic in terms of how the song is put together. The elements within the track are common throughout the record, but the way they come together and create this stop and go approach with then those faster boosting moments within the song definitely allows the track to stand out. I think it's a super catchy track. For a death metal song, this one really becomes an earworm, both in terms of how it sounds and in the context of the overall record, definitely how it sounds, but also in terms of the vocals and the chorus itself. I also like the solo on this track because it adds to that dark ambiance, the dark vibe that really surrounds this entire record, both musically and lyrically. Last but definitely not least, Rot Riffs. This song to me is the perfect description of the entire record, but it's also the description of jungle rot. This band is all about the riffs, and this song just represents that to perfection. I love the fact that they named the track Rot Riffs. This album is all about the rot riffs. This song is all about the rot riffs, it's all about the riffage, it's all about the guitars. It's a great track. It's a really short track. It's under 2 minutes, but I don't think you need this song to be any longer. This song has a little bit of a punk attitude to it. It kind of reminded me of Obituary, either the I Don't Care track or 10,000 Ways to Die. Not that they sound similar, not that this song even sounds similar to either one of those two, but the attitude that those two songs have, the way they're put together, the way they come across, this track kind of reminds me of that in terms of bringing a more punk attitude and definitely a song structure to a death metal song, allowing the track to deliver a lot of heaviness, a lot of brutality in a quick space of time and still be memorable at the exact same time. This song is incredibly memorable and hooky because it has a great hook in the chorus. The fact that it's short, the fact that it repeats it, all of these things add to making the song feel and become way more memorable, way more hooky. Great track. I love Rod Riffs. It's definitely one of the highlights of this record, and I love the difference and uniquenesses that this song offers, specifically from a structure standpoint and that more punk vibe attitude. This is at Jungle Rot with Cruel Face of War, out May 15th on Unique Leader Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.